Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 204. My name's Adam Patterson. Joining me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw with us. Kevin, how's it going?
You're coming in with a lot of energy.
I am. I'm trying to bring the energy up today a little bit.
Spooked. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep up with you.
Well, you're gonna be spooked because we got two spooky movies to talk about today.
Oh, spooky movies.
Two spooks. Gonna be talking about The Witch and The Invitation. Two very suspenseful movies.
Oh boy.
Two tension-filled horror movies. I'm pretty excited. Pretty excited to have this chat.
We're gonna be talking about that's back-to-back episodes of horrors.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. I didn't really think about that until after we solidified the lineup for this week. And I was like, wow.
Which is, it makes sense since, you know, I'm an expert.
Since you're a huge horror guy, it only makes sense that we would talk about a lot of horror movies.
Right.
Oh. Well, I mean, fortunately, up to this point, they've been pretty decent. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens today. Because I don't know how you felt about these two, but we'll get into it in just a minute. We're going to be talking about some other stuff we've been watching on the watch list. We got some movie predictions for you, some new on VOD stuff, and some Blu-ray releases. Thank you so much for tuning in. I got just a couple things to mention on some news. The one thing that I want to mention. Have you seen this Star Wars Headspace album?
No. What's that about? What's
so
this
basically
about? Star Wars Headspace. So
yes. So basically, it's like an electronic album. It's like an EDM album inspired by Star Wars. So it uses like sound clips and sound effects and things like that from Star Wars.
Okay.
But it's got like Rick Rubin. It's got. I'm trying to look at the track list here. It's got. I don't know how to say their name, but I'm a big fan. It's the Royksop.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Got some Flying Lotus in there.
Oh boy, Bonobo.
Yeah, Bonobo. Got some Rusty.
Bauer.
So you should definitely check this album out. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet. You can listen to the whole thing for free online. GTA's in there. But I would recommend checking it out, because so far, from what I've listened to, it's pretty damn good.
I have to check that out. Star Wars is going to be everywhere and in everything.
Yeah. I think the Rick Rubin one features A-Track on it.
Goodness.
And it's that's one of the several that I've listened to so far. It's quite good. So check that out. Star Wars Headspace is the name of the album, and you can. It's all the tracks are on YouTube. I don't know if they're on like SoundCloud or anything yet.
It looks like they're on SoundCloud.
Okay, so they're on SoundCloud too, so you can check it out in multiple places. The True False Film Festival. It's a big documentary film festival. Happens every year. They announce their lineup. With this festival, it seems to be growing over the years. It seems to be getting a little bit bigger every year. But the thing about this festival, it is kind of one of those festivals that just sort of curates all of the other festivals and pulls in some of the higher profile releases that premiere at other festivals.
It's like a greatest hits festival.
Yeah, so some of the highlights of this one include the Helmut Berger documentary, Helmut Berger Actor, which was, if you remember, John Waters' top film of 2015.
Yes, I want to see that.
Yeah, I want to see that too. Just seems interesting. The Anthony Weiner documentary Weiner is going to be playing there, and the other one that sounded kind of interesting to me when I was looking at this lineup it's one called Sherpa, and it's about the lives of Sherpas at Mount Everest.
Nice.
Yeah, it seems kind of interesting. So if you're in the Columbia, Missouri area, you can check it out. It's from March 3rd to 6th.
Why would anyone be in Missouri?
Well, maybe you live there. I don't know. I think it's a college town, so maybe if you're in school there.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least you have a documentary film festival.
No, that's true. Yeah, I don't have anything like that.
Yeah. What do you have, Kevin?
I think we have like a 1 minute film festival. Plays
Cool.
1 minute films.
Oh, one of those deals.
Yeah,
Like a Vine Film Festival.
pretty much.
The Vine Film Fest. And they have a lineup of 875 movies.
They're just all shown on iPads. It's not even like a theater experience. It's just iPads.
Yeah.
Stools. That's it. You just walk around.
Those are the best. Those are the best kinds of film festivals.
The
Trailers this week. The only one that I really wanted to mention was Taika Waititi's Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yes.
Yes, please sign me up. Did you watch the trailer for this?
I don't need to. I'm watching.
Well,
it. I already love it.
If you do watch it, you'll understand why this has quickly entered my most anticipated list for 2016, because it looks a lot like Boy, actually.
Really?
It's about a kid who he's kind of a delinquent. He's acting out, and he gets sent to live with a foster family, kind of out in the wilderness for a while. And he sort of forms this bond with his foster father, who's played by Pierce Brosnan, and it looks awesome.
Fantastic.
Yep, it looks pretty great. So very excited for that. I don't know if we talked about this on the show, but did you hear that he's making a standalone werewolves movie?
Really?
It's called Werewolves, and it's going to be about the wolves from What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, thank you for that. And
also, if you listening were not aware, Taika Waititi is doing the new Thor movie. He's directing Thor Ragnarok.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's a really weird. I mean, I get some of the ones because that this is what Disney and Marvel have been doing for a little while now with the Marvel movies and the Star Wars movies, is kind of pulling in these indie directors to do these big budget action movies. But some of them kind of make sense, like Colin Trevorrow, and they kind of make sense. But in the case of this, I'm not really seeing the connection there. But it will be interesting nonetheless to see how he kind of handles that.
Hopefully he can make Thor interesting.
I know.
Because Thor is not interesting.
No, unfortunately. Of all of the Marvel properties, I think Thor is the least interesting.
Oh,
I'm just not
so bland.
Yeah, I'm not really into the whole. I just don't really like the mythology of Thor. Like I don't know, it's just not interesting.
No, it's not.
Hardcore Henry got a new trailer. Used to be just called Hardcore, but now they added the Henry on for some reason. Yeah. Don't know why.
In case you were wondering what his name was.
I think it's dumb. Why would they put that on there? I think it might have been like a trademark issue or something. But
more than likely.
It seems like something that they had to do in a hurry, and they were like, "Fuck, just put Henry at the end."
It does feel rushed.
I'm very excited for that movie, though. I think it's going to be quite an intense experience. It looks pretty awesome. I like movies that try different things, and as far as I know, this is the first person action movie that's done entirely in first person. And it looks like they're going to do some really cool stuff with that idea.
There's definitely some interesting things in the trailer.
Did you see
some of the others? I did. I guess I saw the new trailer because
the one where he's on the chain gun thing and he goes through the van. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was a bit insane.
Yeah,
there's a certain spot like when they do a lot of the stunts and stuff. It looks pretty incredible, but then there's other portions where you're just like, oh, this looks like a video game. And it doesn't look good.
Well,
but it's mostly just the stuff when he's not doing any action things, where he's just like walking hallways and stuff.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I also like the scene where he's riding and somebody tosses him a grenade, and like the guy on the bike tosses him a grenade and he catches it and throws it. It looks like they're gonna do a lot of really cool stuff with that movie, and I like movies that try different things. I like movies that have a gimmick.
I don't know what the runtime on that thing is, but
I can't imagine it's very long. I can't imagine it. I don't think people could take it.
Yeah, exactly. Good idea to keep that short.
I'm not sure that I could take like 2 hours of that.
It's like 2 hours 45 minutes.
Yeah, that
It's in
would.
real time.
I'd probably have to excuse myself from that, or look away. Just look away for a while,
We're going.
recharge.
Uh,
But all right, that's pretty much it for news. Let's go ahead and jump into our first review. I think we could do The Witch,
oh,
since that one is actually out now.
let's do it.
All right. So this is written and directed by Robert Eggers. It stars Anya Taylor-Joy, Ralph Ineson, Kate Dickie. I have a synopsis here. A family in 1630s New England is torn apart by the forces of witchcraft, black magic, and possession. Ooh, the old trifecta.
Whew.
Look out. We'll start with you, Kevin. What'd you think of The Witch?
Impressive in a number of areas, but ultimately, like at its core, extremely disappointing.
Oh, that's a shame.
Just extremely disappointing. I like the actual look of it, the cinematography, the production design, costume design. Damn, that is impressive stuff because it really immerses you in that time period. And of course, a lot with the dialogue and stuff, how he pulled it from actual text and everything. And then I thought I enjoyed the music as well. But any point in time that they had, like the grounded reality interact with the, if you want to call it supernatural, whatever, the witchcraft, black magic, that type of thing. Anytime that those two came together and were actually forced to interact with each other, it just completely deflated for me. It just didn't work at all. None of it, really. Except for, I guess, the one possession scene.
Yeah.
But even that, but hell, that kid's acting. Whew. In that sequence, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That kid brought it.
Yes, he did.
Harvey Scrimshaw.
So that's definitely one of the highlights for me of this movie is the performances, and that's not something, and I've said it a million times on this show, that's not something that I ever really performances are so low for me as far as like importance of a film, but as such, when it's really good, when the performances are really good, I take notice. And this movie has some outstanding, surprisingly good performances. Like from Kate Dickie too. She did emotion. The emotion she brought to that character.
Yeah, and even the twins, especially the girl that played Mercy, Ellie Granger. She terrified me straight from the outset.
Yeah.
That's just twins freak me out. I don't know why. I don't like twins.
I guess sort of like you. I wasn't as blown away with it as most people have been thus far. It's been getting very good reviews, and people are just loving this movie. And I liked it quite a bit. Don't get me wrong. I thought that it was an excellent horror movie, but maybe it was just the hype. Maybe like we were talking about last week. Maybe it was a bit overhyped for me. There were several sequences that I thought were genuinely scary. And that was one thing that I did appreciate about this movie is that there are some jump scares in it, but it doesn't rely on that. It relies more on the atmosphere and the mood and the music and kind of the culmination of all of those things. The lighting too is really excellent in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The use of light, and it's kind of all of those things build the tension and the fear and the paranoia of this family. And I liked that. I always appreciate when movies are confident enough to not throw in a whole bunch of, superficial jump scares.
Yeah. And that's the thing that kind of disappointed me is I thought it did do a pretty good job of building the tension and everything and the paranoia, like you were saying. But then, like I said, once they interact or once he kind of shows you something, it just empty. It's just like,
So you're saying that
without
giving anything away.
Anytime that they actually interacted, when you actually got to see the witchcraft,
yeah.
I thought he did a great job. Like especially the very very beginning when you first kind of see it, when you have someone kind of making up this lotion potion type deal. Like that was creepy as shit.
Lotion potion.
That was creeping me the fuck out. Okay.
Yeah.
Because the lighting in that and the way in which he shot it, like extreme close-ups and everything's kind of a lot of what's going on. You can't really see; it's obscured, which
Well, also,
lets the imagination
yeah,
play a part and get to interact with it. But then, and I wish there was more of that throughout because everything else beyond that point is just straightforward. Here it is, and you don't obscure anything. It's just right there, and it just didn't work for me at all.
well, for the most part, I mean, like as far as without getting into possible spoiler territory, I think that that initial scene that you're referring to with the potion lotion.
Potion lotions.
That scene was tough, man. People in my theater were they were like audibly uncomfortable with that scene.
Yeah, it was really unnerving.
It's a really tough scene. Just because of what you see and what you know is happening or is about to happen.
Yes,
this is a pretty dark movie. This movie goes to some pretty dark places.
well, that's what I think that's just kind of unfortunate for me because you have the hype around it, so you got those expectations built up pretty nicely. Even though my expectations weren't too high because I wasn't that enamored with the trailer, but then you start off the movie like that, where it's just deeply unsettling and just creeped me the fuck out, and I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be good. Oh my goodness! But then everything after that was just didn't reach that same level, that same height.
Yeah. I would semi agree with you on that. I feel like the things that preceded that scene were not as impactful, and I was kind of expecting a bigger payoff, if you will, at the end, and so I was a little disappointed with how things.
I mean, that's the
and I don't and just to be clear, I don't mean like the actual conclusion. I mean more like the climax, because what happens at the very very end, I was totally on board with that. I was like, yeah, I'd do that too. Why not?
Well, I mean, at that point in time, yeah. What do you got to lose?
Exactly.
You're gaining everything.
But I'm talking about the actual, the big climax.
I would say, when they go back into the woods,
right
at the very very end. Which, if for me, if you look at it kind of like a line graph type situation, really the first point up super high. Really, it's like at the top of the line graph, as high as you want it to be. And then at the very end, it's at the very, very bottom of the line graph because that whole sequence at the very end was just, I thought it was hilarious. And I don't think that was the intention.
No.
It just did not work for me. It's like, oh my God. A little ambiguity, I think, would have helped. Would have went a long way. But unfortunately, I didn't get that.
Yeah, that is unfortunate because all that stuff worked for me. I think that I was pretty unsettled the entire time that this movie was playing out in front of me, and as you mentioned before, the Black Phillip thing, whereas you seem to have found that, I'm assuming you found that kind of silly, the Black Phillip thing. Because I found that to be really disturbing. The voice I found to be really disturbing. I
like that they went there, and I kind of it should have just ended there for me, but I don't know. It's just so much emphasis on the Black Phillip, but he doesn't really. I don't know how I feel about Black Phillip.
I feel like Black Phillip should have played a larger role because I never quite understood his link.
But I mean, it is
everything
because he's half and half. He's kind of creepy. He's a black goat that just goating it up, which is fun to see. It made for some funny dialogues. When the father asked if they made an unholy union, the goat. Mm-hmm. Just because he's a goat, I think, makes it kind of funny. You know what I mean? It's like it's hard to overcome that inherent silliness of a goat, because goats are just silly.
Right, but they're also like demonic symbols.
I know, but and it's and it's tough because you realize that a lot of that probably just came from people back in the day being like, "Oh fuck, he has square eyes. He doesn't belong here. He's got to be evil." And it's just a fucking goat, you know. It's just a goat. And they do silly stuff. So anytime that he would do like the suspenseful music where the camera would kind of it's just stuck on Black Phillip's face and it's kind of coming in at him. I'm just like, oh, a goat. I like this goat.
I imagine I was having flashbacks to that YouTube video of the screaming goat.
It's a goat.
Made me want to laugh.
Good old goat.
He's not in it a whole lot, though.
No, he's not. And then when he does get down to business, he starts doing some dirty work.
Yeah.
As just, it's kind of, I don't know what I was expecting, but it was a bit disappointing. Like, oh, that's all this goat's going to do?
Yeah, I was expecting it to be a little bit more with that as well.
And how do you not see a goat coming? How's a goat sneak up on you?
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. Damn. What'd you think of the dialogue? Because they used the kind of old English dialogue.
Yeah, which is
that was a surprise.
And it was interesting seeing. I guess some people were having problems with it.
No, I didn't have a problem with it at all.
I guess that's my wife was telling me she was reading some stuff that people were having issues with it, and she asked me.
It doesn't surprise me. Come on.
But I interestingly enough didn't have, which was because usually I do have trouble, at least understanding.
Right.
But I didn't have any issues.
Once I got used to it, like once I settled into, oh, okay, this is how they're talking, then I was able to kind of reacclimate and.
Well, that's what I mean. Like the attention to detail when it comes to getting the period right is, it's remarkable.
Yeah. Like
as a period drama, through the roof, aces. As like a suspenseful, tension-filled film, it's at the bottom. It's
It's unfortunate. So Blake reviewed this on the site, so if you want to read his full review, he gave it a 9 out of 10.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he was loving it. When I was editing the review, I put in a still of one of my favorite shots in the movie.
Dancing goat?
No, it wasn't a dancing goat. It was kind of a wide shot of them standing by that tree.
There was some nice shots in there, especially when they would do. And I wanted more of that. There's a lot of instances where they're like in the woods and stuff, and the camera kind of stays back while they kind of trail off to inevitably meet up with the black magic, witchcraft, whatever, supernatural elements. And I like that the camera stayed behind because that's what I want, I guess I should say, is that I like that ambiguity to let my imagination get to play. But my imagination didn't, Eggers wasn't interested in my imagination helping out or collaborating with his film.
Not really. And
I'm never really for that, I guess.
That was actually, and this may be considered a mild spoiler, but that was one of the things that initially surprised me was that you see the witch right off. I thought it was going to be a movie where you don't even know if it is a witch or if they're all just going crazy out in the woods, and they pretty much show you right off the bat, oh, there's a witch. Like there is a witch.
It's witch. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll agree that there wasn't a whole lot of ambiguity going on. I mean, there's some conclusions and inferences that you can draw from how things happened and regarding like the possession and the twins and Black Phillip and who was involved and who was under what influence and stuff like that, because things are a little hazy when it comes to that, I think.
Yeah.
But as far as what the witches looked like and all that stuff, like you pretty much see them you only see the face a couple times. Yeah. Most of the time they're huddled over something and you just see their gross butts. You see a gross witch butt.
Yeah. And there's some instances of where you get the kind of, you get to ponder some things, but I don't know if that's necessarily from the actual movie itself, or it's just because he did such a good job of transporting all the information and history that he had, and that you're getting all the stuff that's inherent in the material itself, not anything that he's actually done with it.
I think yes, that's what I think. I think it's the latter, where he's literally just kind of transposing these stories that have, because all, which I didn't even know until the little blurb at the end of the movie that says that these were pulled from actual texts and things.
Yeah.
I think that because there's a lot of religion. I mean, a lot of this whole, like, pretty much every line of dialogue is them quoting scripture and stuff like that.
What did we do?
Right.
It's God doing this to us.
Like, the religion angle is in full effect. I mean, there's probably more religious stuff in here than was that Risen? It's probably more than Risen.
Probably is.
But to that point, I don't think that there were any kind of religious messages or like, I don't think he was trying to say anything about that.
No, I don't think he was either. I think that
it was just.
I think it was just to get the accuracy right.
It was authentic, yeah. I mean, the authenticity, like, this is probably how it would be back then. They're just talking about, plus, and this is not a spoiler, but they start the movie off with them essentially being banished out of the colony. So, and do they say outright why they got kicked out or why they left? I know it had something to do with,
I think it was because
their religion.
I think it was because of what he was preaching.
They were too hardcore.
They were just, I kind of forget, but I think it was something along those lines. But, and I mean, that's where, some of them going crazy comes from, is they're trying to make sense of all this, and they think it's because of God. But they're at that point in time that they haven't quite understood that it's called winter, and winters are really harsh.
It's a harsh mistress.
Yeah, like, you just can't grow shit, and like, kids are gonna die if you leave them out in the woods. So, and they're just, why is God doing this to us? He's not. You're just fucking up. Stop fucking up.
You're just out in the freaking wilderness.
Stop fucking with the woods.
Trying to make a go of it. Yeah.
Stop trying to sell your daughters.
Yeah, anyway. Give your daughter away. And very, very creepy. I thought it was intensely creepy. Even though it is more of a slow burn. I mean, it's not like wall-to-wall craziness happening. It's a slow build-up, but even when it's just them trying to wrap their heads around what's happening, I thought that the tension they kept the tension levels pretty high. And that's mostly credited to the music. The music really keeps you on edge.
Yeah, they're torturing their strings.
Yeah, buddy. It was loud too.
Jesus.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on The Witch?
No, I think I covered everything.
Okay. Let's give this a score. Kevin, what are you going to give The Witch?
I'm going to give it like a reluctant 7. It's like that's a soft, limp 7.
I'm going 8 on this one. Going 8.
Whew.
Yep.
Whew.
I was a pretty big fan. It stuck with me, and I saw it yesterday, and I'm still it's still going over. I'm going over in my head today, and it's just it's one of those that got really under my skin. I'm still thinking about it.
I'm not. I mean, like, my initial reaction was time to go buy some groceries. Get my grocery shopping done.
Mine was I need to go home and take a nap because I have a headache. But it was unrelated to the movie. I had the headache prior to going into the movie.
That sucks. I'm sure that strengths didn't help it.
No, not really. That's The Witch. That's playing in theaters right now. Let's talk about The Invitation. So this movie it's not out yet. So basically we had to
just rub it in your face. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. So this is one to look out for. It doesn't come out till April 8th, but we're reviewing it now because we kind of we're on a timetable. We kind of had to get it watched. So I figured
we were
best
forced to, is what we're trying to say.
It's best to get our thoughts recorded now, and because by April 8th, I'll probably forget, a lot about this.
More likely.
Not because of the movie, but just because it happens.
We're gonna
It
watch
happens with
47 other movies
Yeah,
during that.
it
stretch of
happens
time.
with everything. So I want to get my thoughts down on this one as soon as I can. This is directed by Karen Kusama. I have a synopsis here. While attending a dinner party at his former home, a man thinks his ex-wife and her new husband have sinister intentions for their guests. This stars Michael Huisman, Logan Marshall Green, John Carroll Lynch, others. Mike Doyle's in there, Lindsay Burge. It's an ensemble cast.
The dinner party, which I thought was. We've been talking a lot about dinner parties.
I know.
I think that's like a stretch of 3 episodes now. Dinner party talk.
I think so.
Which right off the bat, this movie is inherently just creepy and disturbing because it's a dinner party. At least for me.
Yeah.
Because I would be much like this guy. I always think there's got to be something else going on. There's an ulterior motive to every dinner.
Something's afoot.
They're working on something, and you're not gonna like it.
Yeah.
They lure you with that free food.
Yep.
Drinks.
There's always something.
There's something going on.
Dinner parties are always self-serving in some way.
Exactly.
I'll start this one off. The Invitation. I was a big fan of this one, even though I will say that I predicted, pretty semi-accurately predicted, what was going to happen at the end, like what this was all about.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's a big deal. I think that just if you see the trailer, you probably have an idea of, what the ulterior motives are for this dinner party. What I didn't expect was how they, what happened, like the end result of all of this.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I was pretty impressed by everything. Much like The Witch, I found that the tension of this movie was always building. Like you knew that there was something going on, but the interesting thing about The Invitation was that you never really knew if it was, because you mostly follow Will, so pretty much everything you see from his perspective, and you're never really sure if he's just being paranoid or if he's starting to lose it because of the circumstances that happened prior to this dinner party. So you're never really sure what's going on, and you'll have this tension build, and then something will happen where you're just like, oh my god, there's something going on here. But then they'll kind of diffuse that for a little bit, and then they'll start building it back up because he'll see something else, and you're like, what is that all about?
Mm-hmm. Which I thought was the main thing that I appreciated in this movie. Is
it
how
just keeps you hooked.
Because you're completely on board with them right from the outset, or at least I was, because like I said, it's a dinner party. So I'm just like, yeah, there's something going on here, man. And then, the first couple things that happen, and it's like, oh, these people are really happy. Like, and then that always tips you off to something. Like, no one's that fucking happy.
I liked how the guests, first of all, I'll say this, the friends and stuff, like the camaraderie felt very real to me, and I actually liked the people at this dinner party. I didn't like outright hate all of the characters, which happens a lot in these types of movies. And they, for the most part, almost all of them did the right thing. They all seemed like intelligent, rational people. So it was funny to me when they immediately figured out what was going on, and to a certain extent, they figured out what was happening with David and why am I getting these? Eden,
yes.
David and Eden. Like, they immediately figured out what was going on there, and they announced it. Like, they knew what was happening, and I liked that. I liked that they knew it, they recognized it,
and and they all pretty much acknowledged, like, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, and they were like, yeah, this kind of weird, guys. So I really liked that about this movie, how it was very matter of fact, and these people were pretty earnest with each other, as friends would be.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did you think of The Invitation?
I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And
I figured you would.
For the main reason that I stated just a little bit earlier, is I liked that how she kept playing with that. How I would be on his side, and it's like, okay, there's something going on here. There's something seems amiss, and then of course their presentation or whatever, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is really what the fuck. And then and then you start to question because, like you said, because of the past and the trauma that he went through, you're
Mm-hmm.
starting to worry if he's just maybe getting a bit overzealous with this whole thing, and then it kind of something else happens that kind of undercuts everything, that makes you again start to re-question what the hell is exactly going on here, and then it comes to its natural end, which you kind of figured all along. But I did like that, even though it kind of has that predictable end, and even kind of pretty much clearly states how this is going to end because of the type of film that it is, the genre and everything, but how it can keep you guessing
Yeah.
up until that point.
It it keeps you guessing all the way up until the end, and there's something that happens at the very end, the final shot, that because there's something that David does, and I was like, oh, that's something.
Mhm.
Something's up with that. And then they come back to it at the very final shot, and you're just like, what? And it was like this kind of, it wasn't a twist, but it was like
No,
just
it's just kind of like a reveal that there's a little bit more to this than.
yeah, and it was awesome. Like I love that
Yes,
final shot. I was like, yes.
it just stops there. It just
Yep.
stops you there. It gives you that little bit just at the end of like, okay, there's a little bit more to this, but we're done. Roll
Yep.
credits, and
Yep.
that's what I appreciate. Where then it gives me at least a starting point where I can think about things instead of just everything being straightforward, like kind of how I saw The Witch.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Again, this is a pretty violent movie. Not overly gory or anything, but the violence feels very visceral and real in this
Yeah, and
movie.
one of the main things for that reason is because when the violence does ascend, when it finally shows up, um, the way in which people use weapons, I like that they look like they've never used them before. And I don't know if you can remember, like there were certain characters, like the way that they held a gun.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't think you've ever used a gun before.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely is a movie that keeps you guessing at every second. It has that. It has kind of a Hitchcockian vibe to it as well. There's the music plays a big part in that too, I think. But very very suspenseful. Kept me guessing. Loved it.
Just
Thought it
yeah,
was great.
bit creepy. Good build up.
Yeah, great build up. Great build up because of the whole paranoia aspect. There
Yeah.
were, he was having flashbacks, and I'm not. I'm trying to be very, very careful
Which
about what I reveal in this.
Yeah, and
Talking about it,
I
but
love the way in which the flashbacks are handled because they just kind of come up at a certain point in time, and you're just like, oh shit, like there's more to this. Like you didn't even they don't really even speak of it, and then they just
right,
bring it up in flashback, but they still don't discuss it for a while. It's just like, oh, here's some stuff. It's like,
yeah.
wait, what?
So essentially, while you're piecing together what this dinner party could be about and why this is happening, you're at the same time piecing together their past and figuring out, what we know going into it is that this couple is divorced, and that's pretty much it. Like he hasn't seen her in 2 years. He's going for a dinner party. That's it. Like that's all you really know going into the movie. And then, but as it progresses, you see flashbacks as he visits the different rooms and parts of the home, and so you start piecing together the whole backstory. And I liked that aspect of it too, because even though those flashbacks were kind of just exposition, really,
Yeah.
it was all they were all puzzle pieces, and I appreciated how they delivered that rather than just having one flashback or having them, because they could have easily had Will and Kira having a conversation about it on the way to the dinner party. They could have easily done that, and then we would have known the whole backstory. But she decided to do it in a much more elegant way.
Yeah, and the way in which that stuff is revealed is what ultimately leads you to kind of start questioning
Right. Yeah. You start
whether,
questioning.
am I on the right side here, or is he just losing his mind?
Right. Exactly. And yeah. Yep. And
Because
I
I
think
can
that was
definitely
awesome.
I can definitely understand him losing his mind.
Yeah. Of course. Of course. He knew going into it that it was going to be a difficult situation.
Well, and plus
But
you get the whole idea of the invitation thing, whatever the
Yeah.
hell it is, gets you thinking too, because they don't really explain everything
Right. Yeah.
about this. They leave a lot of it just open
Yep.
because no one asked about it.
Yep. There wasn't much of an explanation with that, so you're just kind of wondering how all this is working and all of that stuff too. So yeah, and they I should also note they start the movie off with kind of a shocking sequence.
Doing the old mercy kill.
Yeah,
Gotta
yeah.
kill them
I
animals. You
was
can't
like,
just.
what a way to start this movie off. I mean, you're going into it kind of feeling not right, you know?
Because that plays into the themes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Mercy kills.
Yep. It is a great movie, though. I highly implore you to check it out when it comes out in April. I don't know if we've ever. There have probably been times where we've reviewed movies that are that far off, but I feel bad doing it.
We've reviewed some movies
that never came out at all.
Never come out. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I guess. Draft House Films is putting this out. I think it's a good fit for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I'm sure that they'll do right by this movie. So,
the one of the Lindsay Berg's character in this and her performance was quite good. And this mixed with her performance in Tears of God, like, my goodness, she should definitely be getting more work.
Yeah, I thought she was good in this. She was good in a teacher too. She was really good in that.
Just all different kinds of characters.
Yeah.
I
thought everybody did a really good job. John Carroll Lynch, Drew Carey's brother in the Drew Carey Show. He seems to.
That's the only thing I remember him from, and the stamp guy from Fargo. Yeah. Those are the only two things that I can remember him in.
Yep.
I don't know if he's been in anything else, has he?
He's been in tons of stuff. He's been in so much.
Are you sure?
Yeah, he's in he was in Zodiac.
Right. Yeah, Zodiac. That's right.
He was like the possible Zodiac killer in Zodiac.
Yeah, he was totally the Zodiac killer.
Yep. He was in The Walking Dead. People probably recognize him from The Walking Dead, and he played John Wayne Gacy in American Horror Story.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So yeah, he's been in lots of stuff, but I will, because that was the first time I ever saw him, was playing Drew Carey's brother.
Yeah.
So I'll always know him as Drew Carey's cross-dressing brother.
Exactly.
But yeah, he did a good job. I thought that Logan Marshall Green looked a lot like Tom Hardy.
Holy shit, that's exactly what I said too.
Yeah. Yeah, he looked a lot like Tom Hardy in this.
It's like a thinner hipster version of Tom Hardy.
Yeah, it was kind of weird at times.
Yeah, I was having a difficult time moving past that, actually. Because every time he would pop up, I'm just like, God, he fucking looks like Tom Hardy.
I was expecting to hear him with his weird accent. His weird accent from The Revenant.
Go off, squirrel. That's what I wanted to be his rebuttal to the invitation. Like, this is ridiculous. That's a squirrel. That's what I believe in.
What's with these bars on the windows? We got all these bars on the windows. We got a lock on the door.
And he's still not. You still have no idea what happened to that one character, which I like. They just completely left that dangling.
Yeah, very, very strong suspicions on what happened.
Yeah, to that character. I mean, I do too, but I appreciate the fact that I don't know for certain.
I thought for sure towards the end they were gonna come back to it, but they didn't. I mean, that would have been, if they did. No, never mind. My comment was gonna get too close to spoiler territory there. And this is a movie that I mean, if you've listened to this review, I think that you could still go into it knowing nothing, because I think we did a pretty solid job of skirting around any details. But I would say don't read.
I think our review has been extremely vague.
Yeah, I mean, don't read anything about it. I would say even try to avoid the trailers if you can, because the trailers, like, I already knew.
Yeah, see, when I went into it, all I know is it's like a thriller type horror, and that's all I knew, and it was a dinner party.
Yeah, see, I from the trailer, I had suspicions about what it was all about. So if you haven't seen the trailer, I would say avoid it and then just go into it completely cold, because it is definitely one of those types of movies that you will benefit more from it knowing nothing going into it, for sure.
Most definitely.
Yeah. What'd you think of the one location shoot? Pretty much all took place in this house.
Yeah, worked well.
Yeah.
It was a nice house.
It was a nice house. It was a really nice house.
Got a nice house.
And I like that they commented on the fact that it was a nice house, too.
Which you would.
You would, exactly.
That's what, when you start to reach an age, like that's all you can talk about, really. It's like commenting on houses and the weather.
Yeah. It's some great...
Because no one's interested in anything else, really.
I love your cabinets.
Yeah, exactly.
These are great fixtures.
I like your sconces. Where do you get those?
You
do those sconces yourself?
Oh, was this the original crown molding on here?
See, exactly. You have at least 2 hours worth of dialogues.
Yep.
Right there.
Because that's what you have to do. You have to try to come up with stuff.
Well, and you got to, frame it around their house, because that's what a good guest does.
Mm-hmm.
See, I know how to act at a dinner party. I just never want to be a part of one.
Same here.
But if I'm forced to, I think I could perform. I could probably do a serviceable job.
Yeah, I think I could too. This is definitely, I think, the best film that Karen Kusama's done. She previously did Girl Fight and Aeon Flux and Jennifer's Body. To me, this is definitely above those three movies by far.
I haven't seen any of those.
Well,
I did enjoy this.
Yeah, I mean, this is way better. Way better.
I completely forgot that there was an Aeon Flux movie.
Yeah.
And that was 2005
what a
too.
Weird, I know. Yeah, but what a strange, because Aeon Flux came out in 2005, but the show on what was it? Liquid Television?
Yeah.
Is that on Liquid Television?
Mm-hmm.
That was on in like 1993 or something. It's so weird that they made a live action movie out of that so far after the show was on.
They just want to wait until,
you almost forgot about
the interest level of it is just 6 feet under. And then that's when you want to bring stuff back. It's been working so well for him.
Yeah. I don't know. She's going to be doing a movie coming out. It's supposed to be out this year, called XX or Double X, which is an anthology of female-driven horror movie segments. So it's yet another horror anthology, but it's all female-driven. So could be, that one could be interesting.
Heck yeah.
So, all right, let's go ahead and give The Invitation a score. I'm gonna give it. I think I'm gonna throw out another 8 on this one.
See, I'm thinking 8 as well. I'm thinking an 8
because I can't find a whole lot of issues I had with this movie. There's not a whole lot of criticisms I had with it.
And I hate to like, kind of put the two films together that we saw. You know what I mean? To kind of judge one from the other based on what they are. But I appreciated the pacing in The Invitation a lot more.
I will agree. It is, the pacing is a lot better in the Invitation.
It was definitely kept more interesting.
Yeah.
Switching it up and making you question things.
There are lulls in The Witch that you simply did not have in The Invitation. The Invitation was just full of twists and turns, and it kept you thinking the whole time.
Subtle. They're not ridiculous twists and turns where like the whole fabric of the film is completely changing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a subtle twist where it's just like, okay.
It's small things, like he'll be standing somewhere. You see this in the trailer. He'll be standing somewhere and he'll see somebody do something in another room that's like across the way that he can kind of see through the backyard. And you're just like, what was that?
Yeah.
Like, what was that all about? And so it's small things, but it's enough to just keep its hooks in you. And it's great. I mean, it's what any good suspense thriller should do. It hits all the right buttons for me. So,
correct.
Again, The Invitation comes out April 8th, and it'll be in theaters. I'm not sure if this is going to be on VOD. Let me just do a kind of a cursory look and see if it is.
Pop that in your old Outlook calendar.
Let me see here.
I would imagine with Draft House.
Well, they
Oh,
do it. They do.
don't they do their stuff on Amazon? I thought they did, or do they? Or they release it a little bit later on
Yep.
Amazon or
It's
something?
so it's gonna be in theaters and on demand April 8th. So it will be day and date. So
Nice.
check it out. Let's go ahead and talk about some of what we've been watching. Now I had to go out of town this week to attend a funeral, so I did not get to watch a lot. But I started the week off with the Great Hip Hop Hoax, which was a documentary from 2013 by Jeannie Finley.
Oh yeah, is this okay? Is this the
So
one where they're like from Ireland or
they're
something?
from they're from Scotland. So there were these two Scottish rappers who they were really good, they were really talented, but they were not being taken seriously because they're Scottish. And they would do shows, they were growing a following, but they were not getting any kind of interest from record labels or anything like that. And all of a sudden they decided to pretend to be American. And as soon as they decided to pretend to be American, they got signed to Sony and they got a major label contract and they started touring and doing interviews and doing the whole thing as Americans. And it's basically a documentary about how they did it and kind of the fallout from it and how it affected them and just where it went from there. Really interesting story. The documentary itself, not great,
Hmm.
not great. It's a lot of it is animated to kind of fill in the gaps in the story and stuff. So it's basically a lot of talking head stuff mixed in with like as they're telling the stories. They have 2D animation,
Mm-hmm.
and
Hmm.
it's okay. It's not great, but the documentary itself is just a little meh for me.
Gotcha.
Again, story quite good. Very interesting to see. I mean, they fooled everyone. They fooled everyone. Even though people would go online and say like, I went to school with that guy. He's not American. They still like nobody noticed and like nobody paid attention.
uh,
So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Again, it's called the Great Hip Hop Hoax. I can't remember where I watched this. Where did I watch this? Shit, might have been Netflix or Fandor. It's probably Netflix or Fandor.
okay. All right. I watched Anomalisa.
Oh, okay.
Check that one out. Charlie Kaufman, Duke Johnson, puppets, stop motion puppets.
Yeah,
Oh boy. I was let down by this one. Wasn't a big fan. Just didn't feel that there was that much substance to this one. And
there wasn't, but
the,
that was the point.
yeah, don't give me that shit. I hate that shit so much. But I honestly, I was like, okay, because there was like so much of this like build up. It felt like they were laying like all this groundwork and building this framework to it and everything. And then there's a certain point in time where like something. It felt like it was going to be a catalyst. Like I was like, okay, here we go. Now we're getting to the meat and potatoes of the story here. It's just getting started. Here we go. And then it was over like 15 minutes later. And I was like, oh, what the fuck happened?
The thing
Like
about Anomalisa,
like we forgot the middle. Or just any building on any of this whatsoever.
yeah, I think that is something that is a valid criticism. And I think that's something that a lot of people could have an issue with that movie. Is that when you look at that movie, almost nothing happens in that
Yeah.
movie. It is like the. Can you imagine if they did that with like? And I know that there was a point for them to do it with like stop motion and have it be like dolls, but can you imagine if it was live action? How unbelievably dull and pointless and boring that movie would be.
Yes, it would be awful. And yeah, like you said, I understand that having to do the puppets and everything because it wouldn't have worked without the puppets because you have Tom Noonan doing the voices of every single person, which except for the main character and Lisa, which I loved. I loved that portion of it
Yeah.
just getting to hear Tom Noonan voice all these different people is just fantastic. And especially when he was watching TV and you have Tom Noonan doing all the voices
Yeah.
of everything on TV,
Yeah.
especially when he stops on like when he's like on Turner Movie Classics and it's an old movie and it's rendered in puppet stop motion with Tom Noonan doing all the character voices.
Yep.
It's just, I want that forever. Please, just do that. Just for just on and on, because I will watch it because it was fantastic. But everything else, just it didn't. I wasn't feeling it. And I do understand, like you said, that there's a point to it, and I can see what the point is, but I'm not on board with the point, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't find it interesting. And why did you make a movie about this?
It's funny, that was my initial reaction right after I saw it, but I kind of warmed up to it.
Well,
I
I know,
kind
just
of
like, why is he so hell bent on obscure delusions? Like, what is wrong with Charlie Kaufman? Why are you doing movies about Frigoli and I forget the Capgras and what was the other one? Cotard. I mean, he likes to put those in there for some reason. He has issues. Charlie Kaufman needs to talk to somebody.
Well, hopefully he's in therapy.
Man,
I would hope so.
you would make so much money off him. Therapy, sweet Jesus.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't want him to go into therapy because then maybe his
He'll make
won't be yeah, like his
normal
movies won't be as good. I think maybe the movies are his therapy. It's like he's working it out through making these movies. Speaking of working things out, I saw Where to Invade Next, directed by Michael Moore.
Okay.
I was a big fan of this one. Like a lot of people have been saying, this is not as grim and dire as his previous movies. It's much more, not necessarily optimistic, but more positive movie than he's done in recent years. This one's interesting. So basically, if you're not familiar with the premise, he goes to all these different countries around the world and kind of picks, he quote unquote invades the country in order to grab the best things from all of these countries and try to bring them back to us. Like he tackles the prison system, he tackles schools, both the education system in general and the like what we're feeding our kids and the garbage that we're feeding kids in public schools. He talks about college and the crippling debt that American college students are in after they come out of college, and how there's, like in some countries, I believe it's Slovenia that he goes to, college is free. Like you can just go to college for free. There's no student loans, there's no tuition, no nothing.
Yeah.
And he also talks about work, and he goes to Italy for that, which is really interesting because they get 5 weeks of paid vacation every year, and they get paid for 13 months of work, of full-time work, even though obviously there's only 12 months in the year, because the way that the Italian government looks at it is 12 months out of the year, you're paying your rent, you're paying your bills. And if you're going to have a month of vacation time, they want you to be able to afford to take that vacation. Because what's the point in having vacation time if you can't afford to go on vacation? So they pay you for an additional month of wages every year. And it's sad. It's just sad that we are, with the United States, we're supposed to be the most developed nation, and we're like the worst. We're the worst at everything.
Well, the thing that always gets me is like maternity leave.
Oh, yeah,
that blows my mind.
Yeah, he talks about that. That's actually women's rights and women's medical care. He talks about that, and it's just sad. It's sad that, and a lot of these systems that he goes to these other countries and explores these systems, a lot of them were adopted from America and just refined. And we either abandoned them or, introduced them and it never happened, or it's just they scaled them back over the years. and whatnot, and it's just it's really sad. But I think that it's a really important film. I feel like there's a lot of people that hate Michael Moore, and I think that this movie, you should be able to set aside your hatred for this guy and just watch it for how these other countries handle things. Like, for instance, the prison one, and how he goes to, I think it's Norway, and in Norway the maximum sentence that you can have is 21 years in prison. That's the maximum. That's if you like go on a killing spree.
Yeah.
And their focus is rehabilitation. Like, everything they do is about rehabilitation and not just punishing people. And it's just the way that they handle, and their recidivism rate in Norway is so much lower than here.
Yeah.
And a lot of what you find out in this movie is that a lot of times it's the opposite of what you expect. Like, I want to say it's Finland. The public education system in Finland, they have the highest rated education system in the world. And they got there, they were doing very poorly. Like, and in order to pull themselves up and eventually become the highest rated public education system in the world, is that they got rid of standardized tests. They got rid of multiple choice tests. They lowered the classroom time. So they actually go to school less than we do here in the States. And they, all of a sudden, everything started going better. And they don't have private or charter schools in Finland either. Every school is public school, so you don't have people fighting over which school that their kid's going to go to, and you don't have some schools that are so poorly funded that they have to get rid of, like, music and things like that. Every school is on the same level. You have the same exact curriculum and same exact system for all of the schools, because whereas here, and all the rich people funnel the money into the charter schools and the private schools, whereas over there, the rich people funnel their money into the public schools where their kids go. So they're all like solidly funded.
Yeah, you got that equal playing field going on.
Right. And it seems like such a no-brainer. You know, it seems like, why don't they do that here? And then you realize, like, how everybody's just corrupt and it's all about money.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, this is Where to Invade Next is playing in theaters right now, and I highly recommend going to see it, even if you don't like Michael Moore. I mean, you have to deal with him because, like, in any Michael Moore movie, he is very much in the movie a lot. I mean, he's the central character in all of his movies, but I think that you can stomach him for 110 minutes just to kind of understand how these other systems work in other countries, and how it's not impossible for these things to be introduced into our country and to make it better.
Yeah, keep an eye out for that one.
Oh, it's never going to play in your area. You're just going to have to wait for that one, I think.
Well, that's like the weird, like, with Michael Moore, he used to always play around here. But it seems like with this film, it's been, like, the release of it has taken forever.
Well, it just came out, like, a week ago, so...
But I've
came out last...
but I've been hearing about it for so long.
Yeah, it played the festival circuit.
Yeah, but usually, like, I guess what I'm saying is that in the past, it seems like the turnaround time on his films from festival to playing in a theater was relatively short.
Yeah,
this one seems to be
it's
pretty
longer.
drawn out.
Yeah, it's longer. He's doing free screenings of it in Flint, Michigan, and I think that he's working on releasing it. Some theaters, because it's rated R for some reason, and I don't even know why. Like, I have no idea why this movie's rated R. Like, I seriously have maybe there. I think there's like maybe one or two F-bombs. I guess
that'll do it. That'll do it.
If there's two F-bombs, I know that it gets like an immediate R. But I honestly, I can't even remember.
You can't
the
be
F-bombs.
Kids hearing the F word.
So anyway, a lot of theaters have agreed to forgo their rules and allow kids into this one, which is a nice thing to read.
Yeah, like, why don't theaters just ignore them to begin with?
I think they should, but it's all about unions and shit like that.
All right. Well, I what do I got? Stray Dogs. Stray Dogs from 2013. I've been meaning to see this for a long time. This is actually on Netflix Instant. You can watch it on there. A little over 2 hours. Got them extremely long shots. And it's kind of episodic where it's just showing it's a father and his two kids, and they live on the outskirts of society in just abject poverty. And it's just kind of little snippets, each scene is just either a portion of his day. He has a job standing with a billboard, but it's kind of just like a signpost for like luxury apartments, and he just stands there with it.
Nice.
Like on the street. It's not involved as like America where you're flipping the sign and all that
Spinning
stuff.
it.
No,
Sign
he's just standing there with it. He's just got to do that all day. And by the looks of it, it's really windy where he is, because like every shot of him is just like in the middle of a monsoon. Looks insane. So a lot of the beginning portions of the film are fantastic because all these shots are they're beautiful. They're beautifully composed. The framing, the camera movement, if the camera does move, it's all fantastic. The only thing that got me, it kind of lost me towards the end. There's where he kind of gets involved with this woman and kind of staying with her at this abandoned building. And in this building is a mural that she likes to look at on occasion. So it is a shot of those two staring at the mural unbroken for like 30 minutes.
What?
At least it felt like 30 minutes. I don't know what the actual time is, but I swear it actually felt longer than 30 minutes. It's kind of interesting in the sense that there's discrepancies that, like differences between how he's reacting and how she's reacting. It kind of holds you on. You're just hanging on by a thread. At least I was. Where it's just after a while, it's like, okay, I'm just looking at your faces and you're staring at a mural. Do we need to do this? Like, what are we doing this for? What am I supposed to be gleaning from this? Outside of that, he seems kind of bored because he keeps drinking his drink, and he seems to be a bit exasperated by the whole situation. It seems to be emotionally affecting her because she's crying and whatnot. But outside of that, man, that's a way to end a film. It's like kind of in the middle there. Up until that point, it's fantastic. Loved it. Loved every single thing about it.
And that's Stray Dogs, available on Netflix. I saw the last one I'll mention is a movie called Times Square from 1980, directed by Alan Moyle. This is about two girls. So one of the girls is this kind of punk rock chick, and she lives on the streets. She had a rough upbringing, and she ends up meeting this kind of rich girl who her father is a commissioner, and he is working on a revitalization project in Times Square, where he's planning on, getting rid of all of the riffraff and lowering the crime and getting rid of all of the porn theaters and stuff and just cleaning up Times Square, making it great. And which is really interesting because that's what happened, back in 1980 when this movie came out. This came out the year before the most violent year in New York City's history, and it was pretty bad in 1980. It was bad all throughout the 80s, really. So basically, these two girls meet in the hospital because they both get taken in for some tests. They don't really say what's going on, why they're in there for any tests. I don't really get it. A lot of this movie doesn't make a lot of sense, but it doesn't really matter. They become friends, and they sneak out of the hospital together, and they just basically go on a tear through New York City. They rob people, they steal stuff, they form a punk band called I think they're called the Sisters of Sleaze, or the Sleaze Sisters, and it's just a lot of fun. I had a great time with this movie, surprisingly. Early role by Tim Curry. He plays a radio DJ. It's got a great soundtrack too. It's got this kind of new wave soundtrack. Got some Talking Heads in there. The Ramones. Of course, they play I Want to Be Sedated like 50 times in this movie. Interestingly, I read that for a long time, this was the soundtrack of this movie was the only way to get a recorded version of I Want to Be Sedated by the Ramones.
No,
It was
really.
it was only available on the double vinyl, the double LP for this movie.
Hmm.
Yeah. So kind of interesting. Alan Moyle's the guy who he would go on to direct Empire Records.
Oh yeah,
Remember Empire Records?
I
Yeah.
sure do.
Yep. And I'm also planning on watching, hopefully today, his next movie called Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater
Yes.
from 1990 about a radio. He's a DJ in that too. So I'm kind of interested in that. But Times Square, great. I love movies that take place in New York City, and I love movies that take place in the 80s in New York. So this was kind of right up my alley, and it really showcased the kind of pre-Giuliani era
So,
of Times Square.
so would you say that New York itself almost plays a character in the film?
You might say that New York
It's like its
is
actual own character.
is a character. It's almost as if it is a character.
Wow.
Here's another interesting fact about Times Square in the
Oh, wow.
70s,
Let me
in
be
the
the judge of
70s and
that.
80s.
I'll be the judge of that.
Mostly the 80s. So by 1984, an unprecedented 2,300 annual crimes occurred on a single block in Times Square, of which 460 were serious felonies such as murder and rape. How's that? It's insane. Yeah. At the time, since police morale was so low, misdemeanors were allowed to go unpunished.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now to think of what it is now.
Yeah, it's you haven't been in Times Square recently, have you?
I think the last time I was there, we had to walk through it.
Cuz
It's one of those things where it's like, oh fuck, Times Square shit.
it's ridiculous now.
Yeah.
It's like you would almost prefer the sleazy Times Square cuz it is like it's unbelievable. The fake costumed characters that are just creeping around everywhere. And
it's kind of weird to think that exists as a place to just be walk, and then all of a sudden you're in the middle of that
yeah,
because none of it makes sense.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
there's people everywhere, and there's so many lights.
it's
Why are
it's really,
so many people in costumes? I don't understand. What are you gaining from the costumes?
unlicensed character costume,
What are you
and they're
doing?
always dirty too. Yeah, it's really interesting to read about the revitalization of Times Square because I've been in Times Square before or when the revitalization was taking place, and I remember it being really really bad and kind of seedy and dirty still, and then just to remember that and what it is now, it's crazy. But also like to know that back then there were like 12 or 13 movie theaters all in a row on 42nd Street. It was just nothing but movie theaters.
No.
And now it's like there's an AMC and a Regal there.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Ooh la la. I read that the city of New York actually took over those theaters and shut most of them down and either demolished them or turned them into commercial properties where
M&M stores.
yeah, exactly.
Make your own bag of M&Ms.
I mean, it's such a double-edged sword with that whole thing. Like I think about it, and part of me kind of wishes that it was still like how it was in the 80s minus the crime.
Yeah, yeah. You just want like a kind of in between. Why did you take it from one end of the spectrum
Yeah.
to the other end that we didn't even know could exist in the world?
Yeah. So, at any rate, Times Square, I definitely recommend checking out this movie. It is I watched it on YouTube. It's up on YouTube. So you can watch it for free if you do a search for it there.
I have to check that out.
Yeah.
I watched one on No Budge from 2013 called Perfect Thoughts. This might be up your alley, Adam. This is shot on VHS.
Oh boy.
You got all that VHS aesthetic going on. You got all your tracking issues. They're in there. Loss of color is in there. Like the colors are just overly saturated and bleeding to a point. And it's just this bizarre. It's kind of I don't know if this is. I always have difficulty when it comes to movies of this length. Like are they considered features or shorts or whatever? It's like 52 minutes long, so it's just under an hour. So it's a breezy time. with
Yeah.
your VHS looks. And considering the VHS aesthetic, it's visually interesting throughout the 52 minutes. But there is a point in time where you kind of think, okay, outside of the VHS aesthetic, what do I really have here? Which was the difficulty that I was having with it. I mean, the story itself is fairly interesting. They do some interesting things with it, and some comedy. This girl gets a self-help book called Perfect Thoughts, and at one point she's making like a vision board type thing going on, and it's just kind of distilling your life into the just easy, like, what do you want? And it turns out she wants a car. She just wants a car because she needs a car because maybe she'll go on trips. She's not sure. So up until a certain point, she's just trying to get a car, but she's also trying to deal with this like foreign growth that's in her armpit. She's not sure what that is, but she doesn't seem too concerned with it. So there is some oddity to it. There's some weirdness, but I think once you get past, or once the novelty of the VHS aesthetic kind of wears off on you, because it doesn't sustain itself for 52 minutes. I mean, there's only a certain amount of times that you can see tracking issues and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
The first time it's like, oh, tracking issues. All right.
I remember tracking.
Yeah, but then, like the fourth time it happens, it's like, okay, sure. So, I mean, but interestingly enough, it did stick with me because my initial response afterwards was like, oh, that was kind of fun. I didn't waste 52 minutes, but at the same time, it wasn't an edifying 52 minutes, somewhere in between. But it did stick with me for a little bit. So I might have to revisit this one. When I'm talking low budget here, and by the way, this is directed by Doran Max Hage. I have no idea. I probably mispronounced all of those except for Max. We're talking low budget. Like, I think the budget of this movie, like, I think people were paid in sandwiches and like the deepest, sincerest gratitude ever, because there's like no money in this thing, and you can watch it for free on the No Budge.
Now for free on No Budge. Perfect Thoughts.
And they do like a little montage of like that like B-roll shit of like inspirational self-help. Like people walking on the beach and they just have big ridiculous smiles on their faces. They do. I think he does at least 2 montages of that, which are kind of funny.
Nice. I always love those.
They are great.
Anything else for you?
That's it. Stop it there. I'll stop it there. I watched like 8 other movies, but
you were on a tear this week.
Fucking ripping through it, man. I'll save them just in case next week I don't watch anything.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's what I do when I have like a whole bunch. All right, let's talk about some movie predictions. Last week, Race. You said 62. I said 58. Actual 61. Right there. We were both close on that one, but you won, of course.
Always.
The Witch. You said 78. I said 82. Actual 87.
Okay. I
won that one, by the way. Next week, Gods of Egypt.
So they're moving forward with this. They're fully committed to this.
Somebody greenlit this.
Somebody
said, "Hey, let's do it. Let's make this thing happen." Gods of Egypt.
And I don't know. And now they're like, we got to put it in the movie theater.
I saw. I've been seeing posters and stuff around the city, and I saw maybe 1 or 2 trailers, and they look like robots to me. The helmets that they're wearing and just their outfits, it makes them look. They look too sleek.
There's you have those things where it just kind of where like the trailer would just play, which is I've seen one trailer was like it was like a mechanized viper. It's like 80 stories tall or something. It's like, what the fuck is this movie about? What is going on? There's a giant mechanized scarab. Why? What is happening here? What is this?
I don't know what it is.
Why is Gerard Butler still getting work?
That's a good question. I'm going to say 18 on this one.
I say 5.
All right. We also have 999. This one's a little bit of a puzzling one because I see the trailer and I think that looks so generic and so nothing. It looks like nothing. But then I see the director and I see that it's John Hillcoat. And I'm like, hey.
Whoa, and then you see the cast, too.
And then I see the cast, and it's like Casey Affleck and Woody Harrelson. It's like...
Kate Winslet, Anthony Mackie.
It's like, what's going on here?
There's a Carl's Jr.
Is it just like really bad marketing behind this movie? I have no idea.
It has to be.
I mean, I'm gonna go see
heard of
it.
this
I'll
movie.
find out because I actually like John Hillcoat's stuff. So I'll be seeing it. What are you thinking on this one?
This is the first I'm hearing of this. First of all, so I don't even know. I'm
It's
gonna
about
go with,
corrupt. It's about corrupt cops.
okay. All right. We got the cinematographer from Bullhead.
Yeah,
What the is going on here?
but if you watch the trailer, it just looks meh. Doesn't look great.
Like a PowerPoint of beige. I'm gonna go with like a 64.
Okay. I'll say 62 because I really have no idea what to think on this one. Eddie the Eagle, the sports inspiring ski jumping.
Doing some ski jumping.
This is some ski jumping on this one. I'll say 46.
Apparently, this guy charmed the world back in the 1980 Winter Olympics. Just fucking charmed the world. Ski jumping.
It's like sort of a Cool Runnings type story, right? Doesn't he? He comes from like a
British.
country that doesn't
He's
have
British,
it or
He's a
something.
British underdog.
Oh yeah, British underdog.
Ski jumping. What are we even doing anymore?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm gonna say 52. And
All
I
right.
like how this is. I like that in the poster. It's like from the producers of Kingsman: The Secret Service.
I know.
What the fuck does that have to do with Eddie the Eagle? Like
It's like a polar opposite. It's like the polar opposite of that movie.
Who's gonna be like, damn, I loved Kingsman.
Time to see Eddie the Eagle.
It's gotta be good. It's from the same producers.
Oh god.
They know how to invest their money, apparently.
Yeah. What the hell? All right. Next week in limited release. This one, it's. I mean, we could probably predict this one, but I'm not going to bother. It's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny comes out. It's the sequel.
Yeah, I heard about this the other day.
The sequel to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Bit of a kerfuffle around this movie because of the distribution method. So I guess it was supposed to be out in theaters, and shortly thereafter it was going to be on Netflix because Netflix is distributing this. They're the ones that are putting it out there, and the theater owners were like, "Nah, that's not enough time." So they got pissed that the time between when it's going to be on Netflix and when it is in theaters, the gap wasn't big enough. So a lot of theaters ended up saying, "Nah, we're not going to show it." So I don't know why it doesn't look good at all. I don't know why it had to be made in the first place. But it is going to be on Netflix and in theaters. So if you have Netflix, you can watch it if you want.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look good to me at all. Like I just it's too late, guys. Too late on the sequel.
Why do we keep doing this? Is that honestly like a lot of the plans nowadays? It's just like, let's wait until interest levels are just completely gone. Like people don't even remember the film.
Sometimes I think it works. Like Ghostbusters, for instance, the new Ghostbusters that's coming out this year. I saw a poster for that when I was seeing The Witch. I got really excited.
But again, let's think about it. It's Ghostbusters. It's fucking timeless. Okay.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
It's fucking Ghostbusters. You could do Ghostbusters like every 5 years. Just get the right people in there, and I would watch it.
It's interesting that they haven't done more Ghostbusters movies because it really is the type of thing where, you know, a lot of people are bitching and moaning about the new cast and everything, but the subject matter, you could literally transplant anybody in there, and as long as they had,
you're cracking wise and catching ghosts. I mean,
exactly.
Who do you like? You want to see that? You want to see that all the time, every day.
And I think the new, again, we talked about it many months ago when it was first announced, but I think the new cast of Ghostbusters has me more excited than if they were able to get everybody from the original cast back.
Yeah, because they're all well past their prime.
Yeah,
except for Bill Murray. I mean, Bill Murray's Bill Murray, but
Bill Murray's timeless.
Fucking timeless as can be.
Yeah, so I don't know. Also in limited release is The Last Man on the Moon. It's a documentary about the last man on the moon. I saw this at South by last year. We have a review up on that. We'll be reposting that review. Not great. Not a great movie. It's okay.
All right.
Pretty generic. Pretty generic
Do they
documentary.
do they happen to animate the in between stuff?
No,
Oh,
no. They
okay.
have enough. They have enough footage, and the way that they do it is they have interviews with him, but they kind of follow him around nowadays. So to kind of check in, see what he's doing now.
Okay.
It's fine. It's mildly entertaining.
Okay.
On VOD next week, we have King George's.
Hmm?
King George's? It's a cooking documentary from the looks of it.
Ooh. Philadelphia restaurateur. Oh, it's closing if it's iconic restaurant.
Huh.
That's gonna
Okay.
be a downer.
Marguerite and Julian and The Last Man on the Moon.
Like how we're doing documentaries of failures now too. It's to make a fucking documentary about everything. Did your business shut down? Let's make a documentary about it.
Yeah, documentaries about failed businesses.
Are you going into bankruptcy? Let's fucking do a documentary. Let me grab a camera. Let me get this GoPro ready.
Oh my god.
Let's do it.
Too many docs. Too many docs, guys.
That's just cool with the doc. There should be they should make that like a business, or maybe the part of the government. There should be like a documentary committee that you have to kind of like run it past a committee of people, and they'll vote on it to see if you can actually make that documentary.
Yeah, I feel like there should be a limit. There should be a ceiling on how many documentaries can be made every year. And once you hit that number, no more.
No,
because I can't keep up with it. There's too many.
There's way too many docs. It's like almost documentaries have their own separate release schedule.
Yeah,
to other like they have enough to just be their own.
It's gonna be a separate thing.
Yeah,
separate medium. Yeah, I don't know. It's way too much to keep up on. And last year, I'd say probably the last 3 years. Really, I've really tried to watch a lot of them. Along with everything else. But this year, I'm just not even going to try to keep up. Like, I'm going to watch the ones that interest me, but
I mostly just wait until I hear a bunch of people say, this documentary is amazing.
Yeah, especially at festivals, because I always end up seeing a lot of documentaries at festivals just to fill in the gaps and stuff. But this year, I'm not even, I'll just spend the gaps writing or whatever. But all right. Blu-ray next week, we have a re-release of 1988's The Serpent and the Rainbow.
Ooh.
By Wes Craven. We both saw that for the first time last year. Good times. The Good Dinosaur, that's the Pixar one that I have no interest in. Spotlight, that was solid. That was quite good. Yeah, I recommend that. Although the Blu-ray cover is pretty bad on that one.
Is it? What's it look like?
It's just like it's almost like a floating head thing where it's got all of the actors like in the top and then them sitting at a table on the bottom half. I mean, there's not a lot you can do with that movie considering most of the movie just took place in like a newsroom, like a newspaper office of them just like sitting around a table with papers. So there's not a whole lot you can do with that, but it's still not great. Blu-ray release of 1982's Tenebrae. That's got a really cool cover, so I'd recommend checking that one out. Let's see what else we got. Moonwalkers? No. That's a big negative.
And they released that on DVD?
Yeah.
Fucking ballsy.
It was a quick turnaround on that one. Some movie called Extraction. Looks like some sort of action film. Entertainment. The Greg Turkington one. I recommend that one.
Get your Turk.
Get your Turk in there. Good old Neil Hamburger.
Gotta get that Neil Hamburger.
1976's The Premonition is getting a release. I just saw that for the first time. Oh, wait, no. That's not the one I was thinking of. Sorry. This is the one by Robert Allen Schnitzer, which I have not seen. That's really it. What do you got on the Criterion front?
We have two. The first one is I Knew Her Well from 1965. From a director I've never heard of. So it's always interesting when Criterion does these, where they put out a film by someone that I've never heard of ever.
Cool.
See,
Did you get that, by the way?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Which, God, I hope I can have some time to do that.
Yeah. That's if it's a little late. I understand because it's my fault for not getting it to you sooner.
Well, and it also got delayed by another day because the trash guy put the trash can, like when he took my trash and he put it back, he put it
in front of the mail.
He put it in front of the mail, so they didn't give me my mail. Like, are you fucking kidding? Like, there's so much fucking space, and you're gonna put my trash can in front of the mailbox. Like, it makes me think you did that shit on purpose because you can clearly see there's a mailbox there.
I love it.
Like, why would you do that to someone?
That's like the kind of shit that happens here, although just different. Like, I'll get, like, on the off chance that I happen to be home when UPS comes, they'll buzz, and I'll go to let them in, and they'll be gone by the time I go to let them in. Like, they don't even... I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, sometimes I'll even hit the intercom.
They're buzzing it, like, as they're walking away.
Yeah.
They're buzzing it with, like, a selfie stick or something.
And there have been times where I've been home all day, and I go downstairs to check the mail, and there's a freaking UPS tag there. And I've been home all day. I didn't leave the apartment, so I know that they didn't buzz. Sometimes they're just like, fuck it, and they just put the thing on there.
That's shitty.
And the other day, last week, I got a tag from UPS, and they didn't buzz. And then the next day I wasn't home. And then the following day, and by the way, I keep going online. Every night I go online and tell them to redirect it, because we have a service here where you can essentially redirect packages to this pharmacy that's right down the street.
Mm-hmm.
So if, like, you're not home, you can tell them to take it there and drop it off there. And I kept doing that, and they didn't do it. And whatever that package was that I was gonna get, they sent it back. Like, I couldn't get it, and I don't know what the package was. I have no idea, because there was, like, I'm guessing it was a movie or something. But yeah, that really.
Now you'll never know.
No, I'll never know. It really pisses me off. Like, the mail issues here are just ceaseless. They never end. Sorry. That was a tangent.
Got on that tangent.
Yeah. All right.
Sometimes you just gotta. They present themselves, and you just gotta ride them out.
You just gotta roll with it.
That's what you have to do. I just want to tell you right now. There's a little kid jogging. Like, that seems really early. That's a really early age to be into jogging.
Yeah.
It's jogging. He's like 10.
Does he have, like, Does he have, like, the gear on?
He has the gear. Yeah. Gear? He's jogging. He's not doing it well. His form is terrible. But he's jogging it. 10-year-old dog in it outside. The other criterion is Mike Nichols, The Graduate from 1967.
Have you ever seen that movie?
I have, but it's been so long.
Yeah, it's been a really long time for me too. I'm not even sure that I've saw the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't either.
And it's also possible that when I saw it was on TV, it was like the edited version. But it was never a movie that really interested me.
Me either. And I probably still won't watch it. Just a heads up. If anyone was wondering, if you were thinking to yourself, man, I wonder if Kevin's really going to watch The Graduate. Can't wait to find out.
No, I didn't.
I nip that in the bud right now. Probably not going to.
Yeah, there's a reason that we didn't get that one on Criterion. Didn't want it.
No.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. And if you have a minute, take a look at our Patreon page. That's how we keep the site running. Patreon.com/FilmPulse, and consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber. We appreciate that so very much. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.